Your wedges, do you still have life on these things, or are they like a balding tire and your car is all over the place and you can't get any traction? This video is going to be for you. It's going to explain the key area you should look at to test and decide if you need some freshies in your life. I'm also going to give you a little cheat stick as to how you control the flight in your wedges and what to look for if you are going to get some brand spankers. As always, hit subscribe if you like this content. Look, I can't do it unless you hit subscribe and we bring them to you. We ain't like tariffs, we ain't charging more. This puppy's for you, so get after it. So those munch machines, they're not quite munching, and you're wondering what's going on. Why does my short game suck? How am I not getting as good as I should be? Well, maybe it's time to change your wedges. Maybe you're just not quite as bad as you think, but your wedge isn't doing what it should do. Maybe you're not controlling the flight. Maybe you're not controlling the spin. And I think that's the first thing as we look down on this, is you just hit some pitch shots, even if they're towards a target or not. What you want to look at, and I've got a 60 here, and they've all landed kind of in a similar spot in that flat bit and then just bounced on. But notice how everything is coming out quite high. So ask yourself the question, because a great wedge player will launch their wedges low. So if we throw in the full swing here and get ourselves set up, then one of the things that you can actually look for if you do want to test and you do have a launch monitor, one of the things you want to do is just pop launch angle on the device, which is, you might think, hold on, why wouldn't we look at spin rates? Well, you can look at spin rates, of course you can. But if I've just got launch angle in there, I've only got about a 55-degree shot. And what you're going to look for is you want to be able 29.6. Not the best strike, but the lesson in here is if you get to a range on your own and you're hitting these golf shots, anytime you can launch your flighted wedges. What does flighted mean? Well, you saw a TaylorMade video on the best players in the world hitting flighted wedges. If you can flight the wedge, and if you can hit it a little lower in the launch, don't get too hooked up again in where does it go, what does it do, but if you can just take that 60, hit one on a down bank, little bit of grab, best shot we've hit since we've been here, 30.8. This wedge is golden. You can move on now. What can the bottom of the wedge tell you? Now look, I'm fortunate, this is a raw head, so it's easy to see the wear. I don't practice with this much at all. It's my most lofted wedge. I need it to grab a lot. On a shot like that, giving me a spin rate of 7,000, what can I tell? I mean, if I open the face to increase the spin loft, which is the loft on the blade and the attack angle and the difference between the two of them, maybe my technique isn't mustered. I mean, how down was I on that? But the point I'm trying to make is, as a player, so that attack angle was only down 4.3. So from here to impact, it was only down 4.3. But the number that I'm looking for to test, number one, if the tread and the grip on my tires, so my grooves are where they need to be, is can I launch my lob wedge that measures at 60 below 30 degrees or on 30 degrees? Yes. Tick number one, good to go. Now, as I grab my 56, as I told you, this will be the one that goes first because I use this way more. Looking at the wedge, how does the sole look? Well, candidly speaking, it looks in good shape because I don't practice as much as I probably should. But you can see my 9-iron and look at your set. You know, I warm up quite a bit with this. The leading edge is kind of gone. There's a wear mark in the blade. It's not as central as I'd like it. That's technique issues. But how does your sand iron look? How many bunker shots do you hit when you practice? I hit hardly any. It's actually in good shape. Let's go again to our 50-odd yard pitch we've got here. Stick the 56 in, go for the same target. So 56 now needs to be launching a hair lower if we can than 56, half of 56. Then it's still, for me, That had a ton of munch on it, 24.6. Times that by 2, we're not even at 50 degrees. So the muncher into the wind, good shape. We haven't even started looking at how close they go. Now from there, you know, if I wanted you to stand here and hit me some spinny chip shots just down onto the front, a lot of it is technique, right? So we've got attack angle down 5.1. Okay, mega. What about if I just go, I mean, I'm landing it onto the Bermuda. How did that go? What was that launch angle? What was that spin rate? I'm not a believer that you should really look at that first. I think, and it might be contrary to belief, but I think if you can flight the thing, that's your biggest warning sign. Now, visually, we can see that last shot I hit landed in the fringe and grabbed. Fantastic. But this pitch shot I hit, you can't measure it. Some devices, the shot is too short, but the main point I want to make is I can play that shot with the face wide open, really lean on it. I mean, look at that. That's got a mountain of spin on it. Well, that's a great technique. I wish I could chip like that every day of the week. Or I can come into that golf shot and I can play it with less shaft lean, hitting the ground first and getting the bounce to do the job. So that's a completely different technique. I don't see, if you're not skilled enough to work on your wedge game and to know what method gives you spin, I don't see how you can measure wedges like that. I think a key point is you need to be into the breeze like we are today. I think if you can pitch onto a green, that's fantastic. I think if you have a launch monitor, that's money. But I also think that if we just work on, as players, the launch angle, and if you look at the best wedge players in the world, all they do is launch that wedge in a controlled launch angle number. That one visually didn't spin as much. Give yourself some slack at landing on the down bank. Be honest with yourself as the tester. Wasn't as good as technique. You might be watching that going, hang on a minute, that's 2 feet. Yeah, the game, and this is what makes the game hard for me, is about results. That's a great golf shot. It launched at 30.9, so it launched at 31 with 56 on the blade. It's not the perfect technique. The spin wouldn't be as high as if I trapped it. So and this 56 is close to going. It's close, it's teetering. So let's see if I can flight one. Face was more open. I turned on it harder. It landed on the down bank. It had the grab, 32.3. But honestly, if I was playing tour golf courses, I know how much I practice with this club versus the others. That's the first thing you got to look at. The 52 never gets a run out on a practice ground. The 56 and the 60 do. Now let's play one square and see if even with a square blade turned onto, I can get the launch under 26, 27. Does it grab off the down bank? Yes, it does, because you can see the hop, 24.8, tick. That makes it. That would be my 101 for testing your wedges. Take a shot, ideally into breeze, that is, let's measure the thing, 53 yards. So take a shot that for me is that half yardage, half swing. Feel that shot, then check that you can launch it half of the loft. Then use your eyes to see how it spins on the green. Does it have that nip and bounce? Does it spin out of the fringe if that's what you're trying to do? Check that. Then take your wedges into a chipping environment, but understand, and we've done it in the channel, there are countless ways based on shaft lean and just hitting that one, which is so good, or the Dominski shot that we learned out there with the blade back and more spin on that. But I can't tell because I'm pitching out into the Bermuda. But two totally different golf shots that give you two totally different outcomes. The 60 passes with flying colours and the 56 is getting close. So look, here's the skinny. I've done this with the best players in the world and I've seen preferences. I've seen Rory McIlroy change his wedges maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I've seen John Rahm check his Loft and Lie every week but change maybe as he's coming into a big run of tournaments. Jason Day runs those things the whole season because he gets accustomed to them. They're like your favourite pair of slippers. Sometimes when you get them on and you wear them in, you don't want to get those bad boys off. I get it. But what's your indication? What do you need? You've got to look at the schedule you're playing. You've got to look at the tournaments you're playing. You have to check your launch angles. Trust me, if you cannot launch these wedges, half of the loft on the blade, with a decent technique, which you're going to go and see your teacher about, if you can't do that, then this could be the reason why. Then use these. They're a big help for you, your senses. As you get better at golf and as you build this library of what you need to do, it's not lying to you. If the ball is dip, 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 grabbing, that's it, that's the sound, dip, 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 grabbing, then that means you're on the right track. Don't go out and buy a new wedge at that stage. Plus, if you've got a big tournament coming up, the last thing on earth you want to do is put freshies in. You need to wear them in a bit to know how they feel. Wedges are brilliant. You should be excited about playing them. They're going to give you telling signs. Even what we've got here with the 56 looking worn down versus the 52 that never gets any use. That's a great indicator that this 52 can stand a bit more time than this 56. Monitor it. You do need to be getting freshies probably once a year. If you're playing golf, once, twice a week. I know it's an expense, but look, you're investing in a good short game, and a good short game is all about good scoring. We know that from data. We monitor it from data. We want the best out of you. If you're serious about it and you're out there once a week, get some fresh wedges every year and it'll do yourself a big favour.